There may have been some.
Not so much that I witnessed, but just shit I heard. I heard a lot of stuff, as I'm sure we all did. Raw, this will take about 5 minutes.
No good.
As I mentioned last night, I drove 900, I had it written down exactly, actually, 893 miles. I drove 893 miles to watch this show.
A poor reward.
If you guys knew how fast I was driving and the windy mountain roads, I do not recommend this. I do not recommend people driving fast. Now, granted, everybody was driving fast. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like everybody was going 40 and I was going past them at 140 miles an hour. I mean, everybody drives fast on these roads, but I drove really fast, and I came home to this show.
It was less than you'd hoped for.
It was horrendous. The E. Stanley Kroenke stuff at the beginning of this show, I don't even want to talk about it. They spoofed a guy because Vince's ass hurt.
He was butthurt, yes. It
ridiculous.
They spoofed a guy who no one, and I mean no one, had ever heard of this man until about a week ago. And they spoofed him, and it did not sell the pay-per-view. It did not build any new characters. In fact, it built a quite old character. It sabotaged some of their own storylines, because the whole point of Randy Orton being the killer was he took out all the McMahons, and here's Vince waving his dick around, basically, shoving down this Enos person.
Bad.
And long.
It was bad and long and not at all funny. Vince looked like a complete tool. Hopefully a lawsuit is filed to make this whole thing even better. And as noted last night with Dave, the ultimate line, we were kicked out of Colorado. Kicked out of Colorado, he said.
The entire state.
We were kicked out of Colorado. What a lying sack. Hated this. Anyway, let's set up the main event. I'm just moving on. Maurice and Kelly for the women's title. They had a match. It was absolutely horrible. Kelly was randomly doing gymnastics. She's become the new Rob Van Dam.
Think about that.
She did like a shoulder block in the corner and then randomly did a back handspring. Then she tried to round off back handspring into an elbow and almost went too far and almost did the back handspring into her opponent. And then finally she did the worst dropkick I have seen since Roddy Piper at WrestleMania.
And Roddy Piper is like 3 times her age and has a false hip.
I think there was someone else that threw a horrible dropkick of late, but I can't remember who it was.
Piper was the last terrible one I recall, and this actually may have been worse than that.
This was really, really, really bad.
I'm not sure at any point her body was actually going up. I think she just placed a foot on Jillian's belly placed her foot on Jillian's belly and fell to the mat.
They ended up outside. Maurice shoved her into the announcer's table for the DQ. The DQ.
Yes.
Nobody in the crowd had any idea what this was about. Nobody at home had any idea what this was about. I believe it was Rovert who theorized that the reason this was a DQ was because shoving is illegal in the NBA.
And thus it was illegal here in this women's pro wrestling match?
Well, they're spoofing the NBA the whole time.
Well,
now the reason I cannot believe this, it is a valid suggestion, but the reason I can't believe this, and maybe this is actually why it's true, is because they made absolutely no mention of this whatsoever.
Right.
They didn't announce this was any sort of spoof or anything like that. And if they were making fun of the NBA for having stupid rules, they did so in a way that made them look so fucking stupid.
Yes.
So you can't possibly be that dumb, can you?
No. I can't imagine they would do anything so subtly as to go over the head of everyone except Rovert.
And so subtly that, yeah, exactly. That's also a good point. No offense, Rover, or anything like that, but we had a Bella's fake Jack Nicholson.
Do you just want to read your review there?
I admit I fast-forwarded.
Yes. First of all,
in fact, let me read what I wrote here at the end. I guarantee it wasn't funny. Okay, I confirmed this with Dave.
Right.
It was not funny.
I was going to confirm it for you. This was significantly worse than the Stan Kroenke stuff in the beginning of the show.
Impossible.
No.
It only went a minute.
It was shorter, but for what it was worse. The only, I don't even know if this is a positive, but when they first showed the fake Jack Nicholson guy, I actually thought, holy shit, Sting is on Raw. But no, it was supposed to be Jack Nicholson.
Bad, I presume.
Wretched. Fucking horrible.
And we had Flair and Batista doing a deal, and Batista said, listen, why don't you wait and beat up Orton after I kill him at the pay-per-view? And Flair's like, oh, I can't beat him now when he's fresh?
Yes.
Fuck you.
Dave came off like a complete patronizing ass.
And he said, if you don't like it, don't watch. I'm going out and doing this. So there you go. Flair must be on message board or something like that. If you don't like it, don't read it. Regal, Kofi, and Matt Hardy, winner getting a U.S. title shot. I paid little attention to this. It was all right.
Not really.
There's just a lot of guys flying around and doing moves.
They did a bunch of random stuff. None of it mattered. Nobody cared.
It was to determine who gets a U.S. title shot.
There were some good near falls at the end. And so the crowd got into a little bit into them. But all that really matters is it was Matt and Regal and Kofi doing a completely forgettable three-way that Kofi won. So Kofi Kingston is going to challenge MVP for the U.S. title.
Yeah, next week.
And I'm supposed to care.
Nobody could possibly care. Flair came out to challenge Orton. Orton came out and told him to just get a life. Told him it was over. It's been over for 6 years. It was over when you're part of Evolution. Triple H kept you around because he felt sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. The people feel sorry for you. It's all over. And Flair slapped him. So Orton beat the shit out of him and was pounding on him until Batista hit the ring to make the save, at which point Flair vanished. I have no idea what happened to Ric Flair. He was never seen again. So after that, Mr. Kennedy came out, back from his latest injury for the moment, and ended up saying he was going to be the fifth man in the main event tonight.
He also said he would be a former world champion. Or excuse me, a future world champion.
No.
And he still has that really, really stupid chin hair. I can't even call it a beard or a goatee.
That's the least of his problems.
Well, it's not a positive.
That's the least of that man's problems. It's a what?
It's not a positive.
What is a positive with Mr. Kennedy? Name one.
People like saying his name along with him.
People like saying the man's name twice.
Yes.
This is the best we can come up with as a positive.
That is his positive, yes.
Wow. This segment sucked. I like Flair, but all that build-up, and this was what we got from Ric Flair.
This is the advertised...
Where did Ric Flair go?
Confrontation. Down. He's old.
So he just disappeared.
Yes.
He wasn't mad backstage? He didn't yell at Dave?
I don't know.
Was there a segment he yelled at Dave and I didn't see it?
I don't think so.
And speaking of, where was the Vince McMahon Stan Kroenke match? Where they had a video of Stan Kroenke with devil horns. Swear to God, everybody.
And Vince with a halo.
Yeah.
That took ginormous balls.
Where was the match?
It wasn't.
Didn't happen.
Apparently it was canceled during the show and nobody bothered to tell us.
Chavo and Beth against Mickey and Santino. It was
God.
match. Mickey, Beth did some spots. Santino distracted her. Mickey rolled her up for the pin. And then they announced that since Santino's team won, he got to choose the stips for Santina versus Vicky at Extreme Rules.
I don't know.
Please explain how any of this ties together into anything else.
I don't know.
Who came up with the idea of giving him this option? Vicky?
Perhaps.
Vicky didn't want to wrestle him last week. Vicky does not want to be a wrestler.
Now she's booking him in matches where he has the opportunity to win the right to name her stips.
And she apparently booked herself in a match.
Yes.
She is so mad that she's going to face a fake woman who she knows is a man.
Right. None of this makes sense.
And it's going to be a hog pen match.
It's going to be hog pen. Well, what the hell else are they going to do?
Not have the match at all?
That's a better answer. But the fact that it's a hog pen match does not change the value of it at all.
Let us pause and contemplate what we are going to see at Extreme Rules.
On pay-per-view.
We are going to see a 40-something-year-old mother who has never wrestled a match in her life facing a giant man in drag in a match where you have to lose by being thrown into a hog pen filled with mud.
Mm-hmm. There are people... This is not the stupidest thing they've ever done. There are people who hate Vicky and want to see her covered in mud. If they got a promo saying this is what you will see at the pay-per-view, it will work.
I'm just gobsmacked.
It won't be entertaining for us.
Big Show told Miz not to pin Cena tonight because he wanted to make him tap out at the pay-per-view. What sense does that make again? Did I miss something? Don't pin him because I want to make him tap out.
I don't know.
Why do you say don't make him fucking tap out because I want to do it?
I don't know.
Goldust and Hornswoggle against Festus and Kendrick.
This was a real match.
They tried, I guess. Goldust looked great.
Sure.
Kendrick worked with the midget.
And put him in a small package.
He screamed small package as he executed it.
Sure. Kendrick is clearly at this point just trying to entertain himself.
So, anyway, crime time.
The Colons.
Yeah, the Colons. Anyway, Goldust got the hot tag, ran wild. Kendrick got pinned. Then he got mad at his partner, Festus, for failing. He was going to go hit him with something. So one of the Colons rang the bell, and then he got beat up.
Enthralling. This, they just released the Best Tag Teams of All Time DVD, whatever it's called. And here's what the tag team scene is on Raw. 2 Puerto Rican brothers going to apparently be facing the drag queen, or whatever the hell Goldust is, and a leprechaun.
Yeah. And this is more strange than a mom who's never wrestled, a man in drag, and a pit filled with mud that hogs are in.
That is 2 comedy characters fighting over a fake title.
A fake title?
Miss WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
The Colons and Goldust and Hornswoggle are apparently going to be feuding over the World Tag Team Championship.
Well, the Kendrick's the one looking for the partner.
But he keeps losing.
I know,
so right now...
But you see, this is WWE, so all the people that win aren't getting anything.
I see.
And they aren't getting anything. Kendrick's the one that keeps getting matches. The winners just are not booked the next week.
You win a day off.
I guess.
If you lose, you are punished. You must work more.
Then we had the Denver Nuggets, Miz, Show, Legacy, and Randy Orton versus the Lakers of MVP, Lawler, Cena, Kennedy, and Big Dave. I ranted about Orton in the jersey enough last night. I have nothing more to say about this.
All right. It was, it had its moments, particularly when the babyfaces were running wild and Cena and MVP to their double you can't see me and ball and elbow spot, and that's the kind of thing that is the benefit of doing these kind of matches, is you can put top guys with rising guys, and it elevates the rising guys because they're working together with the top guys. So that was good. But mostly, it was just the heels beating at Mr. Kennedy, and he didn't look particularly good. He
beating the shit out of people.
He stiffed people a lot, so they probably stiffed him back. he gave Randy Orton a suplex and knocked him at a bad angle, and Randy Orton came up and halfway started to kill him. And at the last second, he stopped himself and threw a phantom punch and collapsed to his back. That poor fucker. Probably thought he busted his collarbone again, because Mr. Kennedy is clumsy. And then at the end, first of all, the finish to this, with all the top guys in the show, MVP pinned someone. I think Cody. He pinned Cody with a stupid move. So that's the big finish. Not Dave pinning Orton, not Cena pinning Show, nothing that will lead to any of the big matches in the pay-per-view. MVP pinned Cody. All right. Pinned him with a stupid move. Then the parade of finishers began, and Orton hit Kennedy with the RKO, and Kennedy went down, and there was a second pause, and then he realized, hey, my wrist hurts. And he rolled outside and was not seen again.
Oh, he came back all right, holding his wrist.
He was holding his wrist.
Shouting and screaming and being all angry. Well, too bad.
You fell down on your wrist.
Shit happens. Well, Orton did drill him. Watch that RKO again. Orton drilled him with that thing.
Well, probably because he dropped him on his head.
Yeah, there was probably...
It's called a receipt.
It is a receipt here, but... Why was Orton wearing a jersey? Why was Orton in this match?
Well, it goes back again. Vince McMahon is apparently angrier at the owner of the building in Denver than he is at the man who kicked him in the head and kicked his son in the head and kicked his son-in-law in the head.
Hold on, you're looking at this from the wrong perspective.
All right.
Why was Randy Orton doing this for Vince McMahon?
That's okay, yes. Well,
that is the question.
That's a good
Randy
question,
Orton
too.
has kicked all these fucking family members. He killed the daughter. He's done all this shit. And now, because Vince McMahon has a grudge with Stan Kroenke, he's going to don a jersey and be a fucking puppet in this play? That enraged me.
Well,
that enraged me.
Your point is valid.
God, how stupid. This show... I don't care. This show sucked. I don't care if there's anything good on this show, especially after I watched SmackDown. I didn't hate this show so much yesterday. Then I watched SmackDown and I realized what a pile of shit this show was.
It was
horrible.
It was a bad show.
Thumbs down.
Yeah, this is I was looking forward to it because
I've lost my smile.
Figured because of the publicity they'd try something. They'd actually try to put together a good show, and I was wrong.
I'm gonna play a song here and then I'm done, Gus. I lost my smile there at the end. What a horrible Raw. I'm sick of bad Raws. Get better.
I have no good news for you.
Improve. Let's play the song.
What now?
All right, everybody, we're back. I was about to upload this, and we got news here that Mr. Kennedy has been released. And it's hidden, by the way, in the industry news section of WWE.com, but it is written by WWE. Mr. Kennedy released. World Wrestling Entertainment has come to terms on the release of Raw superstar Mr. Kennedy as of today, May 29, 2009. WWE wishes Ken the best in all of his future endeavors.
Wow.
So,
I mean, it's funny, of all the times that I thought that they might release him, and there were plenty.
yeah.
I really wasn't thinking that this would be that time, and I guess it just shows. The only thing I could think of is just the pull of Randy Orton, because Randy Orton and Mr. Kennedy had a discussion after Raw Monday night.
Yeah.
I was told it was not a heated discussion. It was just Randy Orton very calmly dressing him down and just saying that, please, you've got to be more careful. I mean, but certainly in a very emphatic way.
Yeah.
And I'm just surprised that, they bring him back, they do all those vignettes, and I don't know, maybe.
Well, I mean, on top of everything else, he got hurt again. You know what I mean?
But I know that, but how serious?
But I mean, the point is,
when I asked about the seriousness of the injury, people were not talking about the injury like, it was nearly as serious as many of the other injuries that are going around.
Sure, but the point is, I mean, every single time the guy comes back, he gets hurt again. Now he's hurting other people. Why keep him on the roster?
Well, the hurting other people was an accident, and he didn't have. Anyone can do that once. But I can see, you got the reputation where you keep getting hurt. Probably didn't do him any good. For sure didn't do him any good. And I'm sure that last interview he did in the UK where he talked about steroids again, just the way he did it, where he was, because usually he does the kiss ass stuff where he says exactly what he's supposed to and then gets himself into trouble.
Yeah.
This one, he said, I don't even know why they're testing us, type of a thing, and who cares if we do it? And it's like, that wasn't the way to say it, especially for him who's already in trouble for lying, I guess.
Sure.
For lack of a better word, lying, and his story's not making any sense, and his story's not adding up.
I should also note, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but even before that suplex the back suplex on Raw, it looked like he was beating the shit out of people in that match. He looked like he was just whacking people right and left.
Well, maybe he got excited. I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear any complaints other than the Randy Orton back suplex, which absolutely.
Well, that's a big one.
That was definitely an issue after the show.
Yeah, I mean that's a guy who that was probably, in fact, if I recall the direction that he fell out of the ring, that was the same collarbone. That was the same side collarbone that he broke in the Hunter match. So
it absolutely was. That was part of the deal. It was the he dropped instead of dropping him on his back, he dropped him on the injured shoulder.
Yeah,
and Randy was just like you've got to be more careful, type of a thing. And I didn't hear much. The way I heard the story was he just kind of took the tongue lashing, and he didn't mouth off back or anything like that, or complain or cry, and everybody just kind of thought. It was definitely there was definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like he was getting an MO that he was a lousy worker, off of that. It's like, well, he's kind of a green lousy worker type of thing, and not that he ever had that rep before, because he really didn't, and it's one of those things. But, obviously he dropped the wrong guy the wrong way, and again, first match back, and said a lot of stupid things, and, again, I'm surprised, I wouldn't have been surprised like September of whatever it was, 2007, when he had been, when he had asked the company, if you recall, that he wanted to go public because he was so sick of all the things that were being said, and then he went out there and said, what he said, and then he went and got busted, in that investigation by Albany, and his name came up, and at that point I thought, geez, they fired Ultimate Warrior and Davey Boy Smith for less than that, but that's when I also realized that this time they're not as serious as they were in '92, because in '92, if this was '92, Kennedy and Chavo would have been fired on the spot. I mean, they weren't exactly Ultimate Warrior and Davey Boy, if you know what I'm saying, and it's one thing, where it's private and Vince sort of found out that they were doing growth hormone to beat the test. It's another when it comes out publicly in every newspaper in the country and they just suspend him for 30 days. So, at that point, I wouldn't, I don't know. I wouldn't have been surprised then. I am a little bit surprised today, especially after all the vignettes and the build up and everything like that. But certainly the idea that, he's got the reputation for being injured too easily, with the kind of schedule that those guys have. I could see it just like, hey, he's too fragile. What's the point? And it wasn't like he's that over anymore either.
So there you go. That's the second part here of our breaking news update. And
wonder if TNA takes him.
Well, may as well.
Yeah, I could see that one actually.
So he could be Ken Anderson.
Exactly.
So I guess it works.
Well, there's no one there that's going to go, hey, we don't want someone with the last name of a. Well, actually, you know what? They would probably give him a different name than that too.
Yeah.
Because they want everyone to have gimmick names now. That's the new thing.
Let's see, Mr. James.
Yeah, right.
All right, everybody, that's really it this time. Unless, as I'm saving this, we have more breaking news. But I think we'll be good to go for the next couple of days here. But that's it. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you this weekend.
What a wild turn of events!